Alrighty. Well, I have discovered there's a couple of different genres of places that you can stay van dwelling that most van dwellers have never talked about on YouTube. I don't know why or how, but it seems it's been missed. Things are slightly different here in Australia. You know, we don't have Walmarts and you can't just bog in the local Walmart or the local whatever. They sort of all tend to have security who checks everything out. Now, some of you probably work part-time in security. We all know Elvis has. And I know there's at least one other person that has. And you probably know the run better than I do, but I gather they go around and they check that everything's locked. I've sort of talked to at least one other person in security who, you know, that was their job, driving around, and they check everything was locked. When I done my apprenticeship, they had this thing just to prove that they'd looked. And they would stick this little, they didn't have business cards because it was too expensive to use business cards, obviously. They just had this thin-ass photocopying paper type stuff, a little bit like that had the name of the security company. And they'd stick it in the loop of the lock. And often enough, you know, the boss would open up the main car park at work when I was doing my apprenticeship, but then I would be the one to unlock the gates that let all the trucks in. And, you know, every morning, bang, find one of these there and, you know, flick it off and unlock the gates. And many commercial properties seem to have that, including a lot of supermarkets. But guess what? That doesn't include commercial properties that are up for lease. Why? Well, the landlord doesn't want to be burning through a heap of money on security of a building with nothing in it. So henceforth, you know, you've got businesses that are different types. Some are larger businesses that have got locked front gates that close, like the place I'm now working at. And there are others that are more shops. And there's one up the road that, well, they sell truck parts actually. And they don't have any gates, any fence of any kind. What they do have is a car park. And they just have a concrete car park out the front of the shop with no ability to lock anybody out of that car park at night. Now, if that building was up for lease, guess what? No one's checking it out. Okay, the real estate agent brings someone there at 10 o'clock. What's the matter? I park there. You know, they'd be looking through it during the day, 10 o'clock a.m. I might park there 10 o'clock p.m. I'll be out of there by freaking 6 at the latest. And this is the thing, you know. They're never going to know. No one's ever going to give a shit. And the landlord's probably not going to be driving past their place at midnight to check that it's all right. Not likely. And if you sort of pick enough of these places, you'll be fine. Now, how the hell are you going to find commercial places with no one in them? Well, there's areas not too far from my work, including some we drove past, coming back from the funeral. And, oh my gosh, there is a lot of joints there that are vacant. And you don't really need to do anything except keep your bloody eyes open, and you see quite a few joints that are vacant. There's also a few larger joints that are fenced off and all that, but they've got a huge nature strip. They've got a driveway entry, but they've actually demolished the building. So, it's a little quiet service road with a great big wide concrete driveway made for getting trucks in. And guess what? It's no building anymore. No one gives a fuck. It's a vacant plot of land. And guess what? You could just slap it straight in that giant concrete driveway. Just drive in there and park there. No one's a wiser. No one gives a shit. No one's guarding it. Cops don't give a fuck. And this is the interesting thing with cops. They've got so much shit on their plate, They really don't give a fuck because they've got so much stuff to attend to that they just couldn't be bothered, you know. They've got bigger fish to fry than some guy parked in front of some abandoned building. Who gives a fuck? You know, even if you're smacked right in the car park of that abandoned building. The other thing is, you get out said phone, realestate.com.au, commercial section, for lease, bingo, you just got about 1,000 different places on your fucking phone. Go check them out. Go have a look. Go have a few of them on the go that you can go to around 9, 10 o'clock at night that are fairly close to each other, so you can find out if the neighbouring businesses aren't running machinery all night because they run an afternoon shift. Find that out. You know, this could be worth looking into. And I've seen a lot of places that are, like, you don't even need to pull your phone out and look. You just open your fucking eyes, and I see enough different places. The other interesting one that I'm really coming across is parks. There's so many... There's one area with a giant stormwater drain system, and it's like an easement. You can't build over it because there's all these huge stormwater drains that feed into a creek that then feeds into a river. And there's so many parks off the back of them, and all these parks, they've got a few car parking spaces. So you can pull up there, take the kids to the park, take your dog for a walk, blah, blah, blah. Some of them even have tennis courts attached to them and stuff like this. And one of them I've noticed there, you know, often they have one car park. One of them I noticed there's a small business tucked in this back street that's not terribly far from another place I used to work. And the long and short of it is this business has about, I don't really know if it's its car, I believe it's the business's car park, but it's right smack on an actual park, like a reserve, like a, you know, dog park, whatever. And sure as eggs, yep, there's about 6 spaces there, and I could slot in there, and I'm pretty sure they're only working during the day, so that's all fine. Slot in there, it's right next to a park, there's a tree or two there, you know, your vehicle would just be tucked in out of the way, no one would notice. I couldn't fucking believe it. You get to the other side of the park, there's like about 16 car parking spaces on the other side of the same park. It's like, holy smoke, this is within an easy driving distance from where I'm now working, you know, and it's one of these things. Now, there's another one, and I have, in the past, worked afternoon shift because, you know, I like the higher rate of pay. You know, I'm not saying no to an extra $2 an hour. For the ability to go to bed as soon as I get back from work, but be able to wake up without an alarm clock and in no hurry every day. Because so long as I just come from work, eat, shower, bed, I can wake up whenever I want. And it's the best way to give you plenty of sleep is to work an afternoon shift. Believe it or not, especially if you're single, you got no kids screaming in the house and stuff like that, is to go like that. Now, there's another benefit to that. Saw a guy in Canada. Guess what? Works full-time, afternoon shift, was paying astronomical rates on rent. The whole area is just fucked up on rent. He would have to commute about an hour and a half each way, as I do, or an hour or something, at least an hour each way, to rent a basement. That's right, rent a basement with 2 other housemates. So they've got main people in the main building above, but they're just renting a basement, but it's not just him on his own in the basement. There's 3 guys in the basement. The other 2 wouldn't shut up, so he could never really get enough sleep. He got sick of this shit. Then he's talking about looking into another joint that's fucking astronomical price. He said it's closer, but it's something like there's a $500 a week, and he said it will guarantee to have bed bugs and cockroaches. And it's like, fuck off. Like, you know, it's just, and he said it's just not doable. It's just, he couldn't hack it. But the interesting thing is he's gone to a van, but real kicker here is that he works afternoon shift and he sleeps most of the day. So, when he gets off, he goes and finds a business to park. And I don't know if he uses earplugs or not, but he sleeps during the day. So he goes and whacks his car in at some big shopping centre, at some big place, when everybody else is already there, and security is not poking around with a torch, tapping on windows, fucking leaving notes on windscreen, any of that other bullshit. Because security's not there. Because everybody's shopping. And they expect there to be vehicles in the car park. And guess what? That's about when he turns up. Bingo. And he sleeps most of the day. And you say, well, what about at night? Well, at night, his van's parked in the car park at work. Woo! In between, you know, behind locked doors, no drunken idiots fucking with your vehicle, no graffiti artists, none of that bullshit, because he's at work. You know, and it's inside the gates at work. And this is the thing. Some of you, that may not suit. Some of you might want to work afternoon shift, but let me tell you, it's a worthwhile idea. And you also get an extra $2 to $2.50 an hour, at least in this country, just for working at that point. And the best part of all, no fucking alarm clocks. You wake up whenever you feel like it. You slowly make breakfast, have breakfast. You might be able to go to the shops, do what you got to do, buy a bit of stuff. And the interesting thing is, you can always go to the shops during business hours. And let me tell you, none of this, I got to get up Saturday morning to rush into some place while they're open between 10 and 12 or 9 and 12 or some bullshit like that. Oh, fucking hell no. It's not like, well, I got to rush to the bank to get money out and then go to this one to do that and then and you're trying to fit them all in on a Saturday morning and it's the weekend, but you're rushing worse than you have all fucking week. No, because you're awake and you're not working during business hours, you can get anything and everything you want to buy without having to worry about waking up early Saturday morning or doing anything Saturday morning, because it was all easy to get. And I used to fucking love that part, because you can get car tyres changed, you can get fucking anything, you know. That was great, you know. Need to change the tyres, bang, you'd book it in, and you just fucking go in there, you know. And there'd be none of this, oh, I've got to book it Saturday, and everybody else is trying to book it Saturday. That's one of the biggest beauties of working afternoon shift, as well as not having to wake up to fucking alarm clocks. And like you sleep, you never end up feeling tired because you've always had plenty of sleep, you know, and that's another one of it all. But I just thought I never realised how brilliant an idea that was for van dwelling, is to, you know, to work nights, you know. And I just thought, fuck me, that blew me away, that concept. But anyway,